Back to the regular programming. Welcome to my full Monty Disassembly show. Today's guest is the DERYA TM22 standard. Now, if you happen to have the new model that was just introduced in Canada called Cadet, the disassembly would also apply to that model. The only differences between the two are the Cadet has a cheek riser, rear swivel ring, front swivel ring, and the muzzle is threaded 1/2 by 28. Those are the only differences. Otherwise, everything are the same. Okay, as usual, what I'm going to do with the disassembly will be the field stripping first, and then I'll do the full Monty. The bolt and the trigger mechanism that will be done at a later date on a different video. Now also, I'm not going to be showing you how to disassemble a magazine because they basically share the same magazine. The only difference is the alloy does not have that cut in the back of the magazine. That is the only difference. Okay, when I come back, I'll have this all set up and I'll be back. I am back. To begin with the field stripping, you need to remove this hex screw that's just in front of the mag well. And that's the Allen wrench, and you just basically unscrew it. Okay. And after you do that, the whole stock is separated. Okay, let's put that aside. Next thing you remove are these two hex screws that holds the trigger housing to the receiver. Okay, and this is the Allen wrench, and basically you just okay, and this is what the trigger housing looks like. Let's put that here. Now, at this point, you could remove the bolt or you could remove the recoil spring, up to you. But to remove the bolt, you have to pull it back about, I would say about 1/2 inch after you remove the charging handle. Okay, and to remove the charging handle, use the same Allen wrench that's here, and you just put it over there, and you just remove it first. Okay, so it's basically it's a little sticky, and this is the by the way, it's the same charging handle, same size as the alloy charging handle. And now you can actually remove the bolt without removing the recoil spring. It's up to you. But to remove the bolt, you have to pull it back about 1/2 inch and then lift it up. Look, it's up to you how you do this. And you'll hear a snap when you do that. Okay, that's just basically the recoil spring moving forward. Now, so therefore, you could just clean this bolt and the firing pin if it's not too dirty, and if you don't feel like removing the recoil spring, you could just leave that in there. Okay, so that is the field stripping. Short field stripping. Now to do the long field stripping, now I'll show you how to remove the recoil spring. If it's really dirty, you should be removing that. So let me turn the receiver right side up, and let me go do it this way. Okay. there's a cross pin in the back right here. Here, actually, I'll remove it so you can get a closer look. Right in the back here is a cross pin. I removed partially already. Okay, you see it's right there. Now it doesn't matter if you push it left to right or right to left. It's entirely up to you. And when you do that, there's a plug at the end that will come out. Now obviously it's a recoil spring, so it's going to be under tension, so you have to be a little careful. I don't actually have a punch that's small enough. I actually need one. I guess it's, but I'm just going to use a nail temporarily, and I'm going to just tap it. Okay, I'm not going to punch that pin all the way out. I just want to leave it in there, but I realize that this little plug at the back will start flying out, so be careful. I'm going to put my hand over this plug and I will see. Nope, it's not coming out. I need to tap it some more, but I'll put my hand where the okay, here it comes. Be careful. It's a lot of tension right there. Okay, so this is the plug at the end. It has a hole in it. Here is the recoil spring, and it has a plunger at the end. Alright, so basically this is your long field stripping. This is as far as you go. Like I said, you could do a short field stripping without removing the recoil spring, because it does take a lot longer to put the recoil spring in. Otherwise, here Muzzle will show you what it looks like now when it's completely removed. Now pay attention that this is a plastic polymer receiver, and the bolt obviously is metal. Okay, so therefore it actually rubs against the receiver. So it's important that you put oil in between and not fire it so much that you have carbon in there, and then you have the carbon acting like sandpaper. So try not to shoot too much. When I say too much, is like, you know, few hundred rounds, 500 rounds, and then stop and clean the carbon. Otherwise the carbon is acting like sandpaper and you're just wearing out the receiver. This is not a particularly thick polymer, so therefore I would say if you want your rifle to last longer, then by all means clean it between shooting. Okay, so next, let's talk about the full Monty. And with the full Monty, I'm going to start with the stock first, and then I'm going to start going into the front muzzle, and then I'm going to show you how to remove the barrel from the receiver. Okay, let me put this aside. Now there is a pad, kind of rubber pad, and there is only one screw in the back, and it's a Phillips head, and it looks like a medium. So you unscrew that. Now this screw also acts like it just looks like a ordinary wood screw. Okay, nothing special about that. Actually, it looks like even it has a drywall head. Okay. Now, the reason why it's long, because it needs longer. It needs to pass this hole, because when you put your rear swivel, this will hold the rear swivel in. So it's a double duty. It holds the the butt pad in. It also holds the rear swivel in. So it's important to have the right length. I don't know if that length is enough. And then you just pivot this up like this, and there it is. It's out. That's it. And of course the stock is hollow. Like I said before in my other video, you could put your cleaning kit in there and fishing kit, whatever you want to put in there. Now on the grip there's another storage space here, and there's a plug, quite a long plug. You can't, it's not easy to pry it out, so you have to, I got a skinny long screwdriver, and there's a hole on top, near the top here, where the back of the receiver hooks onto, and through that hole I can put the screwdriver in, and I can tap the cap out. Okay, so basically here, if I use a mallet, the plug would come out. Okay, and inside here you could put something in there if you want. Okay, so let's move to the front. Everything in the front here is reinforced. The sides seems quite sturdy, and when you get to the front there's a kind of a hidden rail here, so you have to use something to push it open. Okay, so like that, and it slides forward. Okay, so this I would say mostly it's for your bipod. That's what it's really for. So let's put that in. And this hole is for the front swivel. And we have a safety switch here. Okay. Now to remove that, it looks to me I have to use an Allen wrench, and I have to, if you look here on the left side, you see to be two round holes. On the left side is where the Allen wrench goes in. Let me try it and see if it fits. Yes, it does. So let me turn that to remove the safety switch. There it is. Okay, it's just a set screw. Let me make sure I put it aside. And then, after I remove the set screw, below that is a tiny spring. Now I use a hook on a nail, and I'm going to remove the spring. That's what it looks like. Okay, this is what the set screw looks like. Now be careful you don't lose them. Put them where you won't lose them. Okay, now I can see in that same hole where the spring came out is a plunger that basically holds the selector from falling out, and it's a stubborn plunger. It won't come out, so I'm just not going to bother. I'm just going to leave that in. But if the plunger ever falls out, then this selector would obviously slide out left or right. Doesn't make any difference. But as far as the disassembly of the stock concerned, it's basically done. Okay. Next we're going to work on is the front, this front sight. I'm going to tilt it a little towards the camera so you can see it. Okay, this front sight basically has a cross pin that holds the front sight posts. Okay, and here I'll actually take it out so you can see it better. Okay, so it has one of these spring tension front posts, which is a good thing because it probably won't break if it falls on it, right? And it's held in by a cross pin. You can see that cross pin right there. I have partially punched it out, and in front of the front sight post is a hex screw, not a hex screw, a set screw, which also acts like a adjuster. Okay, it adjusts the vertical. Okay, so let's do that. Let's remove the cross pin, and it's quite easy. You tap it out. Let me do that. Now again, I don't have a proper punch. I broke it, so now I'm going to use the nail. I'm just going to punch that cross pin out. Okay, so I think it needs to do some more. I'm going to use a longer nail, and let's see if I can punch that out some more. Yep. Now I'm gonna pull the nail out. I'm gonna release the front sight, and this is what the front sight looks like. And what's creating the tension is this spring right here. I'm gonna dig this out. The spring is right here. Okay. There is another set screw here, and then the front adjusting front set screw right there. Okay. Now I don't need to remove that. The front adjusting set screw. It adjusts the elevation of the front sight. Okay, let me put this back here. And since the pin is staying where it is, I'm not going to remove it. But to remove this front sight assembly, I need to use a Allen wrench and turn there's two set screw, one in the front, one in the middle. The middle is the one, actually the back is the one I need to undo. Okay. Now you don't have to remove it all the way out, but I think I should to show you what it looks like. Yeah, otherwise you're not gonna see it. Nope. Actually, it's not going to come out anymore. So I'm just going to wiggle. There it is. Okay, this is your front sight assembly, or front sight block. It's plastic. Okay, as you can see, there's two set screw. One in the front is adjusting the elevation, and this set screw in the right here is the one that goes into this hole right here. Okay, it basically lines up the sight block. Okay, so that's what it is. And so this is actually all metal. Skinnier than the alloy rifle, but actually looks pretty good without the front sight block. So that's basically it. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is remove the barrel from the receiver. And to do that, there is a cross pin. It's chrome and it sits right there. Okay. Now you can, oh, by the way, I failed to mention that the hex screw that goes here to hold the trigger housing in is the smaller one. The bigger one is for the stock, okay? And each of them have a hex nut embedded in there, okay? Now I don't want to actually remove it. I could, but if it's easy to remove, I would, but let me see. Basically, they just slide in. Okay, if you see it, it just basically slides into these two slots, okay? And that's what holds the hex screw in. And the back is the same thing. But let's punch that chrome pin out. Now what's indexing the barrel is this piece right here. This is a non-removable pin. Okay, so don't try to remove that. There's no screws. So let's punch that out. Let's put these protector back in. Do have a proper punch. Goes right in here, and you just basically tap it. Because it's on alloy, it's very easy. Okay, there is the chrome pin. And remove the punch and just slide it back. And this is your entire receiver. Polymer. Okay, like I said, this cutout right here is to index your barrel. And this is your barrel. This is where the chrome pin sits right about there, like that. Okay, this is the index pin. This is your ramp that feeds the round, and here's the cutout for the 2 extractor. Okay, let's move along. Now the last thing on this receiver that we need to remove is the rear sight. Now the rear sight is adjustable, although you wouldn't know it. But first, to remove the whole rear sight assembly, there is a cross pin again right there. Okay, now I've already done it partially, and I'm just going to use a nail. I'm just going to tap it out. Now again, you don't have to tap the whole thing out. It's just a lot easier if you don't. But you got to be do a little at a time. Less work if you don't tap it out. You can feel the tension, and you know the rear sight is now coming out. And here it is. Now why do I call this a rear assembly? Because the adjusting screw is on this, which I will show you in a second. Okay, so what's holding this sight down and up in position is this plunger. Okay, this plunger right here. Okay. And there's a spring that runs to the front, and access to the spring is through this hole. And again, it uses the same, which is a good thing, it uses the same hex or Allen wrench, and you just unscrew it. Oh, I dropped it. And this looks to be the same. Yep, it looks like the same one that came out of the front sight. Okay. Now you can push the plunger forward and the spring should come out. There it is. Okay, that's the spring. Now the plunger is being a little stubborn, which I'll have to coax it out by using an Allen wrench. I'll have to use the long part, and there it is. Okay. All right. So basically, oh, one more thing I forgot. On the rear sight, okay, see, this is the top part. On the side, on the right side, there is another hex screw, and it's a lot smaller than this one, but there is a hex screw on the right side, and you just, as you turn it, this top part will move left and right. That is your adjustment. But frankly, I don't plan to use these Mickey Mouse sights, the front or the back. I'm just going to use a red dot and be done with that. But it is adjustable. It is an assembly. There is a set screw for adjustment on the right side. Okay, so let's put that aside. Okay, so basically that is your full Monty. I haven't got into the trigger group, and I haven't gone into the bolt, and the reason why I'll do that on a different video, but I think it's important for me to at least show you how to put the bolt back into the receiver. And it's important just in case, well, you know, if you decided not to remove, the recoil spring, it's a little tricky. So that's why I want to show you how to do it. Now, if you disassembled, if you did the full Monty, no problem. You just drop this in, right? With the barrel in, of course. Okay. Let me show you how to put the barrel back, just in case you don't. It's important. Okay, to put the barrel back, index pin goes in here like that. Okay. Take the chrome pin, doesn't matter which way you put it. Okay, just push it in by hand, and then gently tap that in, and make sure it's even on both sides. Actually, in this case, it goes all the way down. Okay, that's it. It's that simple. It's that simple. Now, what I think I need to show you is that once you want to put back the bolt back and you remove the recoil spring, that's easy, right? Just put the bolt back. Why? Because when you put the recoil spring, okay, this is what it would look like inside the receiver. This plunger would be against the top part of this bolt. Okay, that's basically it. Okay, so if you were putting it back after complete disassembly, shove this back and then put this in, not a problem. Okay, it's easy. However, if you decided to do a field stripping and you thought that the recoil spring don't need to be removed because it's not really that dirty, how do you put the bolt back with the recoil spring in? This is how I'm going to show you. Okay, so let's take the plunger with the recoil spring, put that into that hole like that. Okay, this is a little tricky, and that's why I thought I'd better show you how to do it properly. Okay, now always use something that'll stop the recoil spring from bending. You know, just shove it in, hold it in. Now you need to take the plug and make sure you got the right angle and shove the plug in like this, completely in. Okay. Now tap it in. If it doesn't go in, then use a nail on the left side, okay, to hold the plug, to hold this plug, and then you can wiggle the plug around to push the pin in. In this particular case, it was pretty easy. Okay. Plug is in, the pin is in, you can see the plunger's in and the spring is in. Now you're wondering, well, how do you put the bolt in with that already in place? Or if you should ever decide to do a short fuel stripping. Well, actually simple. First, make sure the receiver is nicely oiled. Okay. Now, make sure you have a couple of nails. Okay. And you need to create a gap in front of the plunger for room for this. Okay. So you need at least 3/4 of an inch, and the way to do that is to use and pull it back. Actually, I better show you. There's two holes in the rail, and there is a reason why there's two holes right here. The reason why there's two holes is that you have to put something in there to hold the spring from coming forward. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put this thing close to the plunger, and I'm going to move it back. And I moved it enough that I can see. Here, I'll show you what it looks like now. So you see, I put the nail right through the rail, and it's holding the plunger back about 3/4 of an inch. That is enough space for me to now put in the bolt. Okay, so, but it's a little tricky because you'll have to pull the nail down at the same time inserting the bolt at the same time. Now I'm pulling the nail down. I'm going to use this part to push the nail out completely. Alright, so it's going to be like that. Simple? See? See, now that's how it works. Now once this is in, don't forget to oil the receiver. Now you can put in your charging handle, okay, which is this one right here. Now when you put the charging handle, there's a couple of, and this is important, and I thought maybe I'll show you the proper way of putting it in. Some people don't realize that there's two flat spots at the inside of the charging handle, and they just put it in anyhow, and then of course it flies off, and they're wondering like, why is that? Okay, you see the flat spot, one on the top, one on the bottom, and they go, of course, top part. So turn it, and if it doesn't turn, you know you got it right, and now you can put in that screw. That's it. No, you're not completely finished yet. Nice and snug. Okay. Now, after you're done, check to make sure everything is working fine, and most importantly, push the pin forward. Make sure that it works. Why? Is because if you replace the screw, the hex screw, it will actually touch the pin or stop the pin from moving forward. So it's important you do 2 tests. Check to make sure it has tension. Secondly, check to make sure the firing pin is moving forward. Okay, basically that's it, and everything goes back the way you removed it. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me. Please hit the like and subscribe button.